Hey guys, I'm back here again to do what is now my review for Doctor Who Series 9. Now I will say right off the bat, this isn't a professional review to say the least or anything. And that's so if you're looking for like a professional to kind of get their thoughts on it, it's fine to go find someone. I'm just doing this as an interest, as a hobby to have fun with and discuss kind of my thoughts towards this past, the latest series of Doctor Who and that. So without any further ado, I shall dive right into this. There will be spoilers, so warning, there is spoilers. So yeah, without any further ado, I shall dive right into things with my review for Doctor Who Series 9. Now, kicking things off. Now, I will say I'm using a different recording software, so hopefully it comes out sounding better, and that we'll see how it goes. I know I need to get a different mic to record with, but this will do for now. I think you can hear me at least. That's the important part anyway. Anyway, getting more into this. Sorry. I shall pretty much get into reviewing the series. It will be spoilers, as I mentioned, just to remind you. Anyway, and so yeah, I'll dive right into this. Doctor Who Series 9, we have the return of Peter Capaldi. I think I butchered it. Peter Capaldi, the Scottish actor, for his second series in the role as the 12th Doctor, alongside his companion Clara Oswald, played again by Jenna Coleman, and that for Series 9, in what is actually her final series in the role as well. And I have to say, like, I know a number of people actually didn't very much enjoy Series 8. Series 8 got a little. I think there was too many single stories, like single just like we needed more two-parters, and I think that's the smart thing they went with for Series 9 was like just about nearly every episode except one was a multi-episode story, which I really did enjoy. I thought it added to the series, and it made it vastly better. And I myself did enjoy Series 8, but I know there was flaws in it that could have been improved upon, and that. But I thought Series 9 was vastly better than Series 8. I thought Peter Capaldi came into his own in the role. Not only was it the use of using two-parters this series, but Peter Capaldi really came into his own in the role of the Doctor. He has just brought it this series. He really brought it all when it came to his acting and showing off his caliber with his performance and everything. He was fantastic in Series 9, and a great way to kick off the series, and that, which I won't dive into every episode well, not multi, but I won't dive into every episode specifically to really break it down because that'll take forever, even though I might be talking for a bit anyway, but I won't do it because it'll go on longer, of course. But I'll start anyway by talking about the opening of the series, which saw the shock return. It was at least a shock to me. The shock return of Davros and Skaro, as well. Well, the Daleks was. I guess that was a shock, but it was more so just. This was just such a great way to open the series. I loved the opening story of Series 9. It still probably is my favorite story of Series 9 is The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar. I absolutely loved how they opened this series. And like the opening scene where he's like asking the little boy if he needs help, and it's like, and then he asks for the little boy's name, and he's like, "My name is Davros," and then it's just, oh, that scene, it was so well done, and it was such a great way to open the series, and it was what added to it as well when we got to the Davros scene was not only how well Peter Capaldi played off Davros, but it was the fact that they actually brought back I can't believe I can't be forgetting his name. Don't worry, Julian Bleach, playing Davros again. That's it. He came back from being in the what is it, Journey's End, Stolen Earth. He had a series 4 finale of Doctor Who. He came back, and I thought that added to it because he did such a he is and I should mention he's from the classic series as well. I really can't. I know there's a lot of classic fans out there, and I can't forget that he's done work in the classics as well, if I'm not mistaken, hasn't he? Actually, I might be wrong. No, I know. Yeah, I think I'm wrong on that. My mistake. I'm sorry about that. No, Julian Bleach has only done the work as Davros in the modern era, and he's done. I just thought it just added to it, bringing back Julian Bleach after about 7 years or something, and that was really cool. I liked how they brought him back. and how well Peter Capaldi played off him. I thought Peter Capaldi played off. I like the relationship between the 12th Doctor and Davros better than the 10th Doctors and Davros because there was a subtle bond there. You could see a bond growing there for a moment, and you thought for a moment how, like, I don't really want to break it down, so I won't get into it too much, but it's just a subtle bond there and everything. We just thought there was a bond growing there between Davos and the Doctor. And then also you had the dynamic of Missy being in there. Michelle Gomez coming back as Missy. I will say, I really like her as Missy. I thought, yes, I know people aren't for the idea of the Master being a woman, but I just think she has that Master personality so much, it doesn't really bother me. And that I can see the evil in her, and that like the Master, but I can also see that she cares for the Doctor at the same time. It's weird. I can see it in her, but that's just me. That's just me. And I thought she does a really good job, and it was really neat having her around in this opening story alongside the Daleks and having her that whole really dark scene where she tries to get the Doctor to try and kill the Dalek that has Clara inside it, and that kind of played off the scene from Asylum of the Daleks with Clara, or Oswald, I guess you could say, when the 11th Doctor came across her in the dark, and that was just such a dark scene, showing the Master trying to get the Doctor to kill his own companion. That shows how twisted this incarnation of the Master is, and that it was disappointing not to see Missy again at all this series, and that she kind of vanished after Which is Familiar, and that. So that was a little disappointing, but it was neat to have her around for the opening story. I like that and everything, and yeah, and also I should mention the inclusion of guest star Macy Williams or Maisie Williams. I'm not sure. I think I was just saying Macy Williams as a Shielder slash me, and that I'm just gonna call her Shielder, and that. And having at first I thought she was just gonna play kind of that, what is it, being maybe one or two episodes, but then she came back in Face the Raven near the end of the series. Then she even came back again in the series 9 finale Hellbent, and that, which is, and she played such a kind of fairly significant role of sorts near the end, I guess, and it was kind of nice having a guest star like her around. I don't think we're ever going to see her again. I think that's why she got so big in the end. I think we've had a kind of, I don't know. I just don't. I don't think we'll see her again. But who knows? Who knows? I could be wrong and that. But I did like how they used her this series, even though she wasn't the most likable of characters. I will admit, she was kind of maybe she could almost be counted as a negative for the series, character-wise. She wasn't that likable, to be honest, and that. But yeah, like she kept saying that it wasn't her fault with Clara, and that one. Technically, it kind of was, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. She wasn't the most likable of characters per se, and everything. But as well as a Shielder, you also had now I don't want to forget the actress's name. You had I want to say Ingrid Oliver, is it? Who played Osgood, and that. I always like mentioning the actors because it's always just pretty much good to have it there. Yeah, it's Ingrid Oliver. Yeah, Ingrid Oliver comes back to play Osgood in this series to kind of close off the Zygon story that started in the 50th anniversary in the Day of the Doctor. And that was, I really liked that two-part, especially the second part with the 12th Doctor's speech about the war and what he's seen and done and everything, and how it doesn't need to end in war and everything like that. That was a beautifully done speech by Capaldi. He was so many beautiful acting moments by Capaldi this series. He was so damn good. Even if you didn't enjoy the series, it's hard to deny the improvement of the vast improvement in his performance, and that he improved so much this series. And what helped and what made it stand out so much more was how much fun this series was with just about most of the stories. A pretty big majority of the stories were just so much fun. This is a very fun series, and that and everything. And then at the end, before I get to the finale stuff, I like I'll get into like the experiments of this series tried out and everything. Like, yeah, I know I looked, coming out of the episode, I didn't all that mind it, and that may because I'm biased towards the song in the episode. I actually quite like the song in the episode, Mr. Sandman, but I know looking online, there was a lot of backlash towards episode 9 of this series, which is Sleep No More, the found footage sci-fi horror-esque kind of episode. And I can see why people said that, because let's be honest here, the episode was being really built up to be scary, it wasn't that scary. Now, to be fair, I'm at an age point where I'm not really. I used to get scared of Doctor Who when I started watching it when Eccleston was around and that when I was and everything. I started watching when the revival actually started and everything, and I got scared back then. But stopped getting scared by about series 3 and that. So it's been a while and everything. So it's kind of hard for Doctor Who to about scare me by now really and that. So I wouldn't put that against it because I thought it was a very interesting episode as a risk, and that and I thought they did what they could with it, and I thought it worked out for the most part. I didn't. I enjoyed it for the most part, and that and yeah. Outside that, you can hear a dog. I think it's all good. Um, outside that, yeah, I didn't mind the fan footage episode. Yes, it was probably it was the weakest episode of this series. It was fairly weak. It could have been so much more, but it was kind of was it? It wasn't only just not scary. It was kind of boring. You were bored watching it. With the majority of the episodes this series, you kind of had a lot of fun with. You were on the edge of your seat. There were a lot of fun this series, and that was just that just stood out as a very boring episode and whatnot. And yeah, as I'll have it down on my notes, the use of the mostly two-part stories or multi-part stories, because the finale was technically 3 parts, which I really liked. Um, I thought the use of multi-episode arcs, I want to see that stay forever in Doctor Who. I think the multi-episode story arcs work so well. That's what Doctor Who was in the classic series, and that now, granted, I didn't grow up with the classics. I try to watch them when I can, and that and that's what Doctor Who was back then, though. And I respect them taking stuff from the classics. I respect the classics because that's where Doctor Who started. And I'm not someone who just grew up watching the new series and just sees, oh look, the 11th Doctor isn't. He's technically the. I don't view the 11th Doctor as the third Doctor, pretty much. You know how there's some idiots around out there who view it like that. I'm not. Yeah. The 11th Doctor is the 11th Doctor. The real it's like the real third Doctor's John Pertwee. I respect the classics like that. Like even though I grew up watching the new series, and saying that, I love how the multi episode story arcs need to stay. They really do, and everything. I hope they do out of that. And speaking of multi story, I noticed Mark Gatiss, I'm pretty sure has a sequel story planned, kind of to Sleep No More. I'm hoping it's I want to say I hope it's a multi-episode one, but I don't know if people can put up with 2 episodes of that because there's a lot of backlash towards just 1 episode of it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. And I've never actually heard of Mark Gatiss. What was the last 2-parter Mark Gatiss wrote? I don't know if has he written a two. Now he probably has. I'm probably forgetting. But um, yeah. Going off that anyway. I should mention the finale and everything. Not only did you get the actually before I get to that, but when it comes to the experiments this series, you had the one-man show in the penultimate episode in the second part of the finale. You had what was that? Heaven Sent. Well, it was Peter Capaldi just on his own for pretty much the whole episode. Like yeah, you had Jenna Coleman show up for just a brief moment, and then the little kid at the end for a brief moment. But that was Peter Capaldi's episode, and he destroyed it. Like destroyed it in the best way possible. I mean, he was fantastic in that episode, and it was actually a very creepy episode as well. Very creepy episode, and everything. A very tense episode as well, and it built up to what I thought was a very enjoyable finale. And this is where we get into the finale, and I can understand some people's thoughts against the finale or some aspects of it because I know a lot of people out there who did not like Clara as a companion. I didn't mind Clara, but I can understand how people viewed her as taking over the show. Like it turned into Clara Who, I guess, and I can completely understand that. But I could understand it more during Series 9. Not Series 9. I could understand that more during Series 8, and that was one of my negatives about Series 8. But I think Series 9, I personally, I viewed the Doctor taking the reins much more because Peter Capaldi was coming into his own much more, and I liked that quite a bit. And yeah, and I know you had Clara die, okay, in episode 10, Face the Raven, and her death was just beautifully done. I thought it was really well done of how she became too much like the Doctor, and that was her downfall and everything. I thought that was the way she was meant to go out and everything. And then you had the whole, okay, Face the Raven, great episode to kick off the finale and everything in the with and it was really nice to see that kid come back. Riggsy, it was, Riggsy, I think his name was. Really nice to see him come back. And outside that, you have Clara's death was really beautifully done, beautifully acted by Jenna Coleman and Peter Capaldi, on screen together and everything. And but then you had the finale. Now, I loved the return of Gallifrey. This is where some people's problems come in when it comes out. Where did it feel? It felt like there was more of a focus on a farewell to Clara when she already got a farewell than it was on the return of Gallifrey, and I can understand people on that very, very much. And it kind of bothers me a little bit. As much as I like Clara more than most people, Clara got her farewell, and then she's now come into the finale to take away from the return to Gallifrey and everything. And I thought that was a little bothering, even though, even like I could sit here and just say I liked their farewell in the finale, and I did, but they already got their farewell, and they already got it, and they just brought her back again to just top it off even more. Even though I did love the fact how they got the classic TARDIS, they stole that from Gallifrey and everything, and how Peter Capaldi's performance in the finale was phenomenal. It was fantastic. It was breathtaking. Where he shoots the, and I know some people didn't like this, but when he shoots the general and makes him regenerate just to save Clara, and that whole, it just the whole how aggressive he was, I love. And the opening 5 minutes or so, when he's just no dialogue from Capaldi, and the first lines of dialogue he says in the episode is where he tells Lord Razalon, where he's like, "Get off my planet." I love Capaldi's performance in Hellbent in the finale. It was fantastic, and but then you had the Clara aspect of it, which I didn't mind. It was okay, but at first I really enjoyed the finale. But the more I think about it, I'm like, I just don't know. I think they did drag it out longer than they should. I think they dragged that Clara story longer than they should have or should have, and it somewhat worked. It worked, I guess. You had the nice nod in the cafe with 12th Doctor mentioning Amy and Roy, and I did like that because I remembered the cafe from the Series 6 premiere, The Impossible Astronaut, and that I liked. I very much liked that, and yeah, as well as that, you also I'm kind of at a loss of words. Like Clara, like she was dead at the end, but she technically wasn't, and that was just yeah. Stephen Moffat has said that he will never bring Clara back after her farewell. I guess didn't he? I remember him saying that. I think now I'm kind of doubting that. I was I was hoping that was it in Face the Raven, and I didn't know. I didn't think there was a reason to bring her back. I didn't think they needed to bring her back, but to give her another farewell. But that was that. It was still an enjoyable finale. I enjoyed it. It was. I loved the scenes on Gallifrey. The opening 5 minutes on Gallifrey um was very well done, and then the twist at the end where you find out how the Doctor actually in that scene in the cafe, the Doctor doesn't remember Clara, but Clara remembers the Doctor. Kind of a play off how Donna forgot the Doctor and everything. Instead, it's the Doctor forgetting his companion, or he can remember her, but he can't like remember specifics and everything. You know what I mean? And I thought that was a nice kind of twist on everything because what we thought at the start of the episode, at least what I thought anyway, with the Doctor knew who Clara was and Clara forgot the Doctor. I thought that what it was, but they twisted it, threw us for a loop, and I very much liked that. But for the series as a whole, I thought it was very, very enjoyable. I thought it was a vast improvement over Series 8. I hope the multi-episode story arcs stay for good, and that I like don't even like sleep no more. Add that to like a 2 episode story arc somewhere. Don't like it change that whole thing. Don't just what I'm trying to say is no single stories anymore. I think you should just have. There's nothing wrong with single stories, but I think multi-episode stories work better for Doctor Who, and that you have more time to play around with things and that. And I think it works. I just think it works better, in my opinion. Anyway, and it works easier for the writers, in my opinion, and that. And yeah, and that's pretty much my thoughts on Series 9. And I really enjoyed it. I loved my favorite story of Series 9 is Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar, and that there was just it was a fantastic series. For the most part. Sleep No More was a weak point. The finale wasn't as great as we were hoping, and that, but it was still very enjoyable. Vast improvement over Series 8. and I can't wait to see what they have in store with the Christmas special, with the return of River Song, and then Series 10, which is rumored not even to come to 2017. I hope that's not true. But there's a ton of shows and movies these days. It's just we're in such a great age, and I just can't wait to share my thoughts on all these things, whether you want to listen or not. And if you do listen, feel free to yeah, this is where it comes to the close of my video. But if you do listen, feel free to comment your thoughts in the comments below. And I thank you so much for listening if you did, and I thank you so much. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Doctor Who Series 9. I'd give it about an 8.5. I thought it was a brilliant series, and I can't wait to see what is coming, and see what Stephen Moffat has next. Now, that's getting into the whole, but we'll see if I reckon Series 10 might be and should be his last when it comes to it, and we'll see what he gives us then. But let's see what you got, Moffat. Until then. This is my review for Doctor Who Series 9. If you listened to it all, thank you very much. Until next time, later guys.